Alright, so I've created a new layer. I'm going to go ahead and select that, copy objects. Actually, right click on this layer, copy objects to this layer, make this active, turn the other layer off, and now we have this line work here. And I'm going to turn my layers off right now. So looking at this red piece, just for sizing, I know it's the exact exactly half the size of this brick. So I'm just going to go in and I'll trim, use my trim command. I drew that line down the center. I'm going to trim all that away, enter. I'll delete the rest of this. So I know this is the basic size. I know let me see if the back of this red piece is two thicknesses, which it is not. I'm trying to see if there's a certain height that the back of the triangle is compared to our other blocks. Yeah, so the back of this red triangle is 3 of those bricks tall. If that makes sense. So I'm just gonna kind of hash out what this thing looks like. I know that the back of this, use my copy command here, is 1, 2, 3 bricks tall. So I just drew that as a reference point. I know the front of this brick is pretty narrow, but it still accepts the yellow brick under it. Let's see here. Basically, if I grab all this information and I'm just going to move it down, this way. And the reason I'm doing that is because I know, again, I know the back of my red piece is 3 high, which is that. Which looks really tall, but yeah. Or is it? Is it just too high? It's just too high. Sorry, I got a little mixed up there. So let me go back here and 1, 2, enter. There we go. But that looked really weird. I'm going to draw one single line here. Get rid of these reference lines I just put in there. There we go. And then the front we know has to clear this part of the Lego underneath it. I will pull out the calipers and just measure the height, get a ballpark here, that front edge on this piece. I'm around 2 millimeters. Let's start there and see how it looks. So I'm going to draw a line. I want to draw this, I'm in the perspective view, and I'm just going to draw this thing. I want to draw it vertically. So I'm on this point. What do I What do I hold down as I click this if I want to draw vertically? Command, yep. Command, now it's locked to the vertical. Now I'll just say, hey, I want to draw this thing 2 millimeters long. Hit 2, enter. This starts my point 2 millimeters up from the original point, exactly vertical from that point. Now I'll just click back down on the point, left click, enter. There's my line. So now I'll just connect the two here. Line in between. I should have something that looks like that. So I'll just take these and I'm going to copy them over to here, this side, like so. You know that inner wall of this, the bottom of the red piece, is going to be the same thickness as all the other Lego parts. So what I'm going to do, I just tap that over with my arrow key, tap it back, all of them. Basically just moved this brick over to the side so I don't get confused with my new piece here. I'll draw on some other reference lines. Like that there. That one. That. I will go ahead and offset this whole bottom piece here to get my wall thickness. I'm going to take these 4 lines, I'm just going to join them together for a second. Use my join command. Pull this up. There we go. And then I'm going to offset that curve to make a wall thickness. And that wall thickness is going to be the same as my other part over here. I'm just going to do a dimension, linear. I'm going to go from this corner over here to this corner here. And I'm at 1.56. So I want this the same. So I'm going to select my curves there, do a curve offset. Offset curve, 1.56, enter. So I just offset that curve to get that same wall thickness as that original foundation piece, if you will. Let's talk about the roof of this piece for a second. I can get a pretty good measurement with the calipers on the end of the triangle over in this area here. So I'm going to measure the depth of this, and maybe getting about 4 millimeters. 4.24. Yeah, I'll call it 4.24. So I just measured from this opening up until I hit the roof here of that first piece, and it was 4.24. So I'm going to draw a line from this corner right here, and I'm going to hold command, left click. I'm going to type in 4.24, enter, and I'll come back here and connect that. Take this just to help clean things up. I'm going to do hide inverse selection and hide objects, because I just want you guys to look at this piece here. So I don't know if it starts off. That may not be exactly right. I'm going to start in the front because that seems to be more critical. .73. So I'm just I just measured the front piece over here, and I came up with about 2.5. I'm just going to draw this in here real quick, see what it looks like. 2.5, enter. So I don't think my front of my piece is long enough here, tall enough. Or I need some new calipers on the side. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take these lines like so, and I'm going to do a surface from planar curve, surface from planar curves, create a surface here, like so. I'm just going to go ahead and take this surface, I'm going to do a surface offset. Surface, offset surface. I don't want to go that direction. I'm going to press F and enter, and that flips the direction of the offset. And I'm going to type in, I don't want to go 2 millimeters like it says over here. I just want to be a 1 millimeter offset. And enter. Enter again. There's my offset. So this is basically the thickness of those ribs. I'm kind of eyeballing it / using my calipers, but it's such a small part, you just got to make the call. So now that I have that, I'm going to take this second surface here. I've only created this surface to help get to this surface. The reason I made that surface is, you'll see right here, I'm going to take this surface and split it by this silhouette we made here. So I'll just go to the top view, like so. I just selected that surface that we just made. I'm going to use the split command. Split, select cutting objects. I'm going to go ahead and select this offset curve here. Enter. And it should have split it, which it did. Notice there's two surfaces here now, like so. I'm going to go ahead and delete this outside surface, and I'm just left with this surface. So now I can take this side, I'm going to take this bottom set of curves, lines, explode that. I'm going to grab this side view set of curves, join these together, do a solid extrude, straight, and I'm going to extrude that over here. So now I just have the solid block. It's basically the overall size of this piece. I'm going to take this, it's still a solid block. I just went back, and when I shade it, if you right click on the shade ball in the upper right here, it will unshade it like that.
How much
Now,
did you offset this surface?
this one I did 1 millimeter down, and then I split it with this curve that we made down here. Now I'll just take this surface and I'll do a solid. You can extrude surfaces and make them into solids. So I'll do a solid, extrude surface, straight. And it will want to go on an angle like this, and I don't want that. I want it to go straight up and down. So I'll just go to the side view and you can see exactly what it's doing here. It's trying to extrude it this way. I don't want it that way. I'm going to go ahead and just go over the left side. You can click on direction, or I can type in D and enter. And it says, all right, which direction you want to do. Now I just put 2 points in space as a reference of which way I want this to go. So I'm going to click here, hold shift, and click down here. It basically says, hey, I want to take this whole thing straight down that direction. Hit enter or click. There you go. So I've got one solid inside of another solid, and now I'm just going to subtract this one away from the large one. So I'll select this solid here. I'm going to do Boolean difference and subtract this one, like so. hit D and enter, or hit direction in the command line. And it'll ask you, what direction you want to go. Just click off in space, and then make sure your second click is straight down, or the direction you want to take your extrusion.
Okay, and that was just extrude surface curve?
Solid. It's right here. Take this. Solid. Extrude surface. Straight. And then it wants to go on an angle. I'm going to go to side view here. Type in D. Enter. Click here. Click down here. Bring it down like so. Take this piece and difference out the solid and difference out the solid. You got this. Now for those ribs, it's going to be kind of the same thing. This is going to be just from a top view. I'm going to start with curves and draw basically these 4 rectangles. So let's do that. So we know the width of the rectangle. These openings is going to be exactly this, so 4.88. Now remember when I said you can use dimensions to get this, but if your dimensions aren't, if they're only 2 decimal points out, it may not be completely accurate. You can also go to your Analyze tools, do Analyze Distance, and then go ahead and click one reference point and the second reference point, and it'll tell you in your command line, I'm at 4.88, so yes, it is exactly 4.88 wide. I just want to double check that. And the tops of these openings, I think are, I'm going to guess 2 point, well not guess, I'm going to measure as closely as I can. I have 2.4 wide, so basically I'm going to just draw a rectangle here. 2.4 wide by 4.88. Enter. So you have something that looks like that. Just going to draw this view for a second. Now I have one. Actually, I'm going to type in move, enter, and move it from this point. Oops. Move, enter, move it from the midpoint, hold shift, tap tab. Oops. Hold shift, tap tab. Darn it. This mouse keeps on moving on me. Hold shift, tap tab, so it locks it to this direction, and line it up to here. I'm going to just draw a line here, holding shift, tapping tab again, just so it locks it that direction. I'm going to line it up to here, enter. So now I want to array 4 of these rectangles along this curve that I just made. So I'm going to grab this rectangle, do a transform, array, along curve, select path or curve. I'm going to select this path. How many objects? I want 4. Enter. Like that. Now, these have to go up on an angle. This is going to make a ton of sense yet until I do it, but basically when this, I'm going to extrude these 4 objects on an angle, so you get that angled vent look that we're getting on this. But yeah, we'll just go with that. I'm going to move these over. I'm gonna use my arrow key, use command. I'm gonna tap each one of these over 3 spaces, like so. Because I'm gonna extrude these up on an angle towards the back of the brick, and this will make more sense once I line this up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and type in move it from this point, holding shift, I'm gonna tap tab, so it locks to that direction, and line it up right here, click here, put those right there. Go to side view. Oops. And line these up like so. I'm just gonna tap these in place like this, guys. Taking each one of these rectangles and kind of following the shape here. So I'll just grab these 4 rectangles. I'll show you in a perspective. Kind of made this stair step shape. They're all still evenly spaced, and I just moved them up like so. If I want to be really accurate with this, actually I'd probably grab each stair step, hit enter, remove, use the shift tab, turn it. So I'd come in here and line each leading edge up to intersection on this, so they're all deadly accurate here. So let me repeat the command. Go. I'm just lining the edges of these triangles up right to the intersection on these, and you have to make sure that you have intersection selected over on your object snap, so you will see that. It should have all lined up nicely. There we go. For this next step, I'm going to go ahead and turn project on, just because I'm going to do a solid extrude planar curve straight. And we can extrude all these at once, and I don't want to go straight up with these because we have, we have that angle going on to get these kind of that bent look. So I'm going to type in direction, enter, and I know that I want ultimately we have that perimeter happening up on top, which is basically the thickness of the wall. So let's draw one more reference point here. I'm going to draw a line. I have project on, by the way. I'm going to draw it from this point using the intersection, holding shift, and I click right there, enter. So when I do this extrusion, I'm going to take all 4 of these stair steps, do a solid extrude planar curve straight. It's going to say, all right, what direction you want to go. I'm going to hit direction. I'm going to click from the end of this stair step to this edge right here. So I know I control this extrusion to go exactly that direction. So when it pops out of the top of this triangle piece, I know that this last extrusion is not going to be over into this perimeter up here that is the wall thickness basically. So let's see what this is going to look like. I'll grab my solid now. Here's what that looks like shaded. Excuse me. That's what we're going with right here. I'll grab the solid and I'll do a Boolean difference. I can subtract all these at once. I'll just do that, hit enter. Hopefully that looks like that. There we go. Except because I had lined those squares right up. Should have subtracted those. Oh, we have that surface in there still. I'm gonna delete that surface. This is that surface that originally made to create the solid. There we go.
If you surface all the edges, does it still leave the inside hollow?
If you drew this all in curves and then
Just surfaced it and didn't use the solid command, would it leave the inside hollow? See what I'm saying?
yeah, the inside is always hollow.
Even if
All
you use the
solids
solid
are
command?
hollow. What's that? They just don't have an open edge on them.
So everything we've been creating is hollow so far.
Yeah, there's no such, even though we say solids, it doesn't mean the thing is actually solid, full of anything. It just means all the edges are closed. It means it will
Okay.
float if you threw it in the water.
Right.
That's
So
all
how
solid
would you make
means.
something
Yeah,
not
the surface.
hollow?
So go to,
Like if you-
surface.
Do you,
Well, if all the edges are closed and you go to 3D print it, it will make it completely solid.
okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
if the wall thickness would be like infinitely zero or like.
Right. Well, the wall thickness would be the part,
Okay.
it'd
that
make
makes
it-
sense.
that.
Yeah.
Unless you went in and made another piece of geometry on the inside, and then it would see that the space between the small geometry and the big geometry, that would be your solid.
Okay.
So that's how we'd get, that's one way to get these vents in here versus drawing every single edge ahead of time. Just something like that. And then there's some other details on this. We see we have a little bit of a recess along that top edge. Let me show you how we'd get that. So I'm gonna go to top view here. Draw a polyline. Turn project off. So I just drew basically this line here represents the top surface area. I'm gonna do a surface from planar curve. Like so. And I'll take this curve, this original curve here that we made, and I'm just gonna offset that. I'm gonna do curve, offset, offset, curve. I'm gonna use through point. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball this. So I get somewhere in here, like so. So I offset this curve on the outside to this curve. Now I can just take this surface that we made here. I'm gonna split it using this curve that we just had. Boom, like this. I'm gonna take this inside piece, just delete that. I'm gonna take this surface, and basically I'm gonna turn that into a solid so we can deduct it from this piece over here. So I'll take that surface and go side view here. I'm gonna do a solid, extrude surface straight. I'm gonna extrude that surface straight down. So I'm gonna type in D, enter, do a reference point here, so I make sure it goes straight down. It is such a small ledge, it's hard to measure, so I'm just gonna eyeball it here. So now I just made this, guys. I made this piece here. It's a solid. I'm gonna tap it back over here with my arrow key over the original part. You'll see that they intersect. And what I'll do is just do a Boolean difference now. So I'll take this original piece and difference out this piece. Enter. You have this. It's kind of the same thing on the bottom. There's a little bit of a ledge on this. I don't know why. With that being the point, I could draw a curve down here. We'll just reverse the process here. So I've got this curve. I'm gonna go to the top view. I'm gonna offset this curve, offset, curve. I'm gonna do a through point. So it goes right to this edge. So there's that curve. So I can grab that curve and this curve if I wanted to. I could do a solid extrude straight, solid extrude planar curve straight, come up into the part, like so. So we have two solids again. I'm going to deduct this solid I just made from the larger one. So I'll grab the larger one, do a Boolean difference, and deduct this bottom piece. Enter. So you get that. I'm just going to hide inverse. Now, because of the way I made this, let's see if this will work. Notice the surface has some history in it. You can see a little bit of that original data I'd used, and you can see it created surfaces here, but if I were to explode this, I'll explode this right now. You can see. I can now select all these separately. I really don't like that. I want to see more of a nice solid wall here. So I'd come in here, I'm going to do a solid extract surface. I'm going to extract this, click these, oops, not that one. I'm going to start that command over. There we go. Extract those. Enter. I'm just going to delete them. Delete that, delete that. I've extracted these. So now I get rid of all those walls. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if it lets me cap this. If I do solid, cap planar hole. And it did. So I got rid of all those surfaces that were making up this wall. Deleted them, and then used the command solid cap planar hole, and it created one nice surface over that entire area. It's not required. I'm not asking you guys to do this, but if you, like I said, if you're handing this data off to someone else someday, either an engineer or another designer, keeping your file as clean as possible is recommended. So I'll do this again. I'm going to do a solid extract surface. I'm going to extract this one, these four here, and these four here, because they all make up the exact same surface, exact same plane. Now I hit enter. Now they're extracted. They're not joined to the rest of the solid anymore, so now I can delete them. But when you delete them, it leaves a big hole in the solid. So now I'll just grab this whole piece, and as long as that's planar, a planar hole, I can use the command solid cap planar holes, and it will automatically create a cap or a new wall in there like that. Now it's just a lot cleaner. Make sense? Remember to save as you go.